Welcome back to Leeds Lately for the match reaction of the first leg of the playoffs. As you can see above me, Sky Bet playoffs. Leeds United have just drawn 0-0 away at Carrow Road in what was quite a cagey affair, but there are a few points in this video that I want to talk about, things that we can improve for the second leg and things that we actually did okay in this leg. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is a couple of positives. Leeds looked more solid. Yes, we gave away some chances and some opportunities, but the amount that we gave away was sort of I think an okay amount for a championship game. Like in the Premier League, if you give that many chances away against a Man City and they've got an Erling Haaland up front, they bag. But if they drop it at the feet of, I don't know, even Gabriel Sara, who's one of their best players, chances are he might spoon that one round the post, and that is kind of what happened in this game. So they gave away a similar amount of chances. I thought that Leeds did well to limit them in terms of their chance creation, and I think really what we went to do was, in fact, the game was actually pretty much a mirror. So the first half was Leeds sitting deep in the first 10, 20, 30 minutes and trying to play on the break, and Norwich having more of the ball and coming forward and being able to try and break us down and create chances. And I think in the second half, it started to go the other way. Norwich sat back more and more and Leeds started to come into possession more and more. And in the end, I think a 0-0 was a fair result of the game. No team really dominated. No team really created a massive amount of opportunities and chances to score. But I do think both teams were solid. Norwich made a lot of fouls and a lot of dodgy things happened in terms of the refereeing decisions as well. I thought the referee was poor today when, yeah, obviously it's not affected the outcome of the game, although Nonto probably could have had a penalty in the early stages when he was pulled down, because that, even if that wasn't a penalty, it was definitely a free kick on the edge of the box and the referee should have given that. All in all, though, Leeds have drawn, and this is what I want to say. So I said this on my live stream, and I think this is the most calm take that you can give in a situation like this, right? This can't be treated as two games of football. It has to be treated as one 180-minute game of football, with the first half being played at Norwich and the second half being played at Leeds. So there were some people calling for Mateo Joseph to be thrown on. There were calling for extra players to be thrown on at the end to try and get the win. But if you think about it like this, I think it might change your perspective. If you were 0-0 going into the half time in a normal 90-minute game of football, you wouldn't start throwing everybody on desperate to score the winner, would you? Because you've still got 45 minutes of football left to play. You've got to treat the end of this first game like the half-time whistle. And of course, it's at a different stadium, different conditions, other players might be injured, all these things. But yes, technically, we are at a half-time in the fixtures, in the what's it called? In the game. Either way, we're at half-time. You wouldn't be throwing all those players forward to score a goal. So a 0-0 is an okay result to take into the home leg at Elland Road. Yes, we've not been great of late, but I think that was an improvement. We were solid. We didn't concede. We created some chances. We need to be a little bit better with creating chances. But going into that second leg, it's essentially the second half. So when it gets to the end of the second game, yes, you've got to throw everything at it if it's still 0-0. But even then it can go to extra time and penalties, and you've still got that fallback of still being able to win the game, even if you don't win it within the 90 minutes or the 180 minutes in this case. The other thing I want to do is talk about how Leeds are sometimes so poor at passing. I think one of Norwich's tactics for this game was to have a lot of their players go on to Ampadu, to Firpo, and to Grev and Kamara in midfield, basically, so that when Meslier had the ball from his goal kicks, his only real option was to actually play the ball to Rodon. And I thought Joe Rodon was pretty poor at playing out from the back today. There was multiple times where he's either played the ball in front or behind of Byram or Nonto or whoever he's trying to play the ball to, and he just played it straight into touch. Either that, or he gets the ball and he lumps it up the line and it goes straight to a Norwich player, in which they gain possession again and they can come back at us. And I think they purposely forced the ball to Rodon in those situations. And it's a clever tactic from David Wagner, because it makes Leeds have to play through that side when we're actually quite weak at doing that. So hopefully there's a way that we can combat that in the second game, maybe have more players pull in deep from the midfield and offer different options, because I think they'll certainly try and do that again, because they've got a certain amount of joy from it. But the other thing is, that's not just Rodon. That's a lot of players. Jorginho giving the ball away. He tries to turn, and he turns into three players and into trouble, loses the ball, they come back at us. When you're playing fairly defensively and you're trying to play on the counter-attack, when you do then get the ball back, you have to use it. You have to be clever with it. You can't just give the ball away and let them have another attack, because the whole point of it is that no one can sustain just defending constantly for 90 minutes. You have to have outlets where you have the ball for a few seconds. You have the ball for 40 seconds, whatever, a long possession where you're just keeping the ball ticking over at the back. You have to have a little bit to take a breather, really, because people don't have to sprint around as much when they're not defending. The only case where it's ever been the other way around is probably when Celtic managed to beat Barcelona 1-0 at Celtic Park, which was like unprecedented, but that doesn't happen very often. And especially in a game where Leeds technically have the better players on paper, when you have the ball, you have to make it stick. You have to have it and you have to keep it. And in these situations, you cannot just give the ball away, because it puts your defenders under so much pressure again. And that's when mistakes come, and that's when you lose the ball and when you concede goals. So what I think, also talking about that with Rodon as well, Mellier's passing was really off it today as well, so he's got to improve that for the second leg. So I just thought everybody was a little bit off it in terms of the passing, the movement, just the way that we were able to move the ball around and create space. You've got to give Norwich credit as well, because I think they did play well. I think we were actually well matched in this game. But going into this second leg, we've got to be a lot more calm and confident on the ball. We've got to find solutions to not having the ball go through Rodon every time, because he's quite poor at playing out from the back. I do think, and I do like the fact that Farke changed things round a little bit, and he went for a 4-3-3 more, with Archie Gray pushing on a little bit. It was a little bit weird at times, because Archie Gray was actually the furthest player forward, playing in sort of like a number 10 role, but he'd gone into the number 9 because naturally Jorginho likes to withdraw from that role. And this whole thing would work so much better if we had Patrick Bamford, but we don't. So we're going to have to rely on whoever else we've got, which is Jorginho, who can play striker. I would like to see Joseph start, I think, in the next game. I've been somebody who said, well, maybe we wouldn't see Joseph start because he hasn't proved himself that much. But I think if you need somebody who's actually going to play as a striker, you go for Mateo Joseph, because even Joel Peru's not an out-and-out striker, and I think when he came on, he had no impact on the game whatsoever. Jaden Anthony, I thought, did well, but Joel Peru, out of those two, when they came on, no impact for me whatsoever. So I think I would start with Joseph up front, with the other two as the wingers, potentially Archie Gray in the midfield as well, in the number 10, where he can drop back into the midfield and make a solid midfield three. There's stuff to be done here, and I think there's a way that we can change things up to help us through this next leg. But like I said, we are halfway through this game. Don't panic yet. It's 0-0. It's actually quite a good result in the first leg of a playoff, especially away from home. And of course, we go back to Leeds and we go back to Elland Road with the chance to go and take advantage and capitalise on this. So I will be live for that game. So come and check me out on the channel. Of course, make sure you hit that big red button as well to say subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell as well. It should come up eventually if I press it enough times. Hit the notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. And I shall see you in the next leg of the playoffs. Join me live at 8 p.m. on Thursday evening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.